Alrighty guys, good morning. Day 3 in Aruba. Just woke up and the weight is a tad bit higher, but I didn't go to the bathroom yet, so that's gonna happen later today. So it's not a true representation of the shape. So it's a little above 113, which is actually a good thing because I don't want to be so low still more than 2 weeks out. But the shape has improved in the mirror, so that is the positive thing. That's what you always should look to first, and then the weight, and then figure out if the weight actually makes sense with the shape you're seeing. If your shape is better than yesterday, but you weigh a bit more, then you gotta think, okay, what's causing that? So what we do is basically just fill in one of the beaches, maps.me app on my phone, because you can use it without internet, and then drive there. Usually it's about 5 minutes, and then do cardio there. So first thing in the morning, we're gonna do some cardio, and after that, just like always, we're gonna have the breakfast. See you there. Hey, we're doing cardio right now here on yet another boulevard. That way we're gonna find out exactly what Aruba looks like, all kinds of places. So we're gonna be doing about 5,000 steps again. And that way you can walk through quite a big part of Aruba if you do that for 14 days. So yeah, after this, having the breakfast. But for now, let's keep walking. And if you walk far enough, you can see all kinds of stores. Still a lot of hotels, as you can see. These are all private beaches attached to the hotel, so you can't really go to the beach here, but it's still nice to see yet another environment of Aruba. Alright, you guys know the drill. After cardio, it's time for the breakfast, and it's pretty much the same as usual. Even though it's a leg day, we're still deep in prep, so no excuses to take more carbs just because it's legs. And we'll just see if it's going to be enough to get me through the leg workout. But perseverance and will, that's what it's about when you're on low carb. So let me show you. So this is the breakfast. It's cream of rice, 80 grams. Put 5 grams of psyllium husk in there, not too much, so it actually exits and digests easier through my stomach. We have 15 grams of the chocolate right there, 100% dark chocolate. 50 grams of Whey Isolate Gladiator Pro, but also 75 grams of liquid egg whites, again to increase the volume of this and to be able to add more water to this meal without it being way too runny, because the more water you can take in when it's hot outside, the better. And of course we have the key right here, so let's enjoy this as I keep working on the Vintage Genetics videos. Alright, just got ready to train the legs, just at my pre-workout shake, adding extra water and extra salt to be hydrated for the very warm temperature in the gym. And now I'm not wearing a tank top, but I'm wearing the old school scoop neck oversized t-shirts, the Vintage Genetics version on vintagegenetics.com. It's gonna be very hot, but that doesn't matter when you're training legs. This puts you in the right mindset, because we are going to an old school gym. We've seen it 2 times now in the back workout and the chest workout. Now we're going to do legs, and this gym has some incredible leg equipment. So we're not going to be able to try everything out, but we will do our very best to try out as much as possible, given the exercises I'm already used to. So yeah, let's go to the gym and enjoy the workout. And then it is time to do the legs, to start the leg workout. And I like to start with the leg extension, warming up the legs, the quads obviously, but also the knees, because we're going to do at least 2 heavy exercises that involve a lot of knee action, a lot of tension and stress on the knees. So you want them to have them warmed up nicely before doing those movements. And it also allows you to connect to the legs, get a nice pump in there. And as I always say, the better the pump, the better the ultimate growth will be, because the stretch will be better. And that's what's growing all about. Getting a good pump, getting a good stretch, getting through that entire range of motion. So this is working set number 1. which means that I'm going to failure on this set, and failure simply means not being able to complete another rep by yourself using perfect range of motion. And that's what I'm aiming for now. No sloppy movements, no momentum, we're deep in prep, no need to take any risk here. Okay, so this was probably the first working set of this leg extension, because when you don't know how heavy you can go, and there's literally no numbers on here in terms of how much weight it is, you gauge how many sets, how many reps you can do with a certain weight. So this was about 15 reps. I like to do 2 working sets for each movement, especially when it's the first movement of the day. So after this, I'm going to go 1 heavier. So that's going to be an even heavier weight, probably around 10 to 12 reps. That'll be working sets number 2. So let's do it. So this is the second working set. Now I have no idea how much weight this is, and that's the problem with different machines or different gyms in general. When you're working out a muscle group for the first time, even if it's the exact same exercise that you're used to, it's going to be very difficult to gauge how strong you are on a working set. So normally I started with the heaviest weight that I can do for about 10 to 12 reps, and then do a lighter weight for about 15 reps. But this time it was the other way around. So first a lighter set, and then the heaviest set as the second working set. So this one is the seated leg curl. Normally I always do the laying down leg, also the laying leg curl. And it's very different. I haven't done this one in a very long time. And it allows you to really strap into the seat, really with this thing on your knees, on your legs. It allows you to really focus on those hamstrings without the glutes or the lower back doing anything. So slow range of motion and a complete range of motion is very important on this exercise. Now, as I mentioned, the seated leg curl is really amazing because it allows you to really, dig yourself into that seat and only let the hamstrings work. Not all leg curl machines have capability of going full range of motion in a stretched position. This one did, so that's very nice. Especially when you're quite tall, it's difficult sometimes to find a machine that allows you to do so. But the stretch in all movements is very important, especially for the hamstrings. Now I'm doing 1 working set for the hamstrings. I'm not showing you all the warm-up sets, but they were quite a lot of warm-up sets here, and they were pretty much all straight sets as well. No set was below 8 reps, so mostly were 10 to 12 reps, and I think this is like the 4th or 5th set that I'm doing. And the reasoning for that is the hamstrings, for me, are quite injury prone near the end of the prep. That's why I'm using a slow range of motion, which is always the best thing to do things in terms of doing an exercise. So go very slow on the negative, control the motion, and feel if there are any things that you feel throughout the entire range of motion in your hamstrings that don't feel right. Because if you feel it then, you won't make the mistake of going very explosively and then ripping something apart. That's the last thing that you want to have happen at the end of the prep, especially when doing legs, when you always want to go heavy. That's where most risk occurs and most injuries can occur. We all know Mr. Olympia's. Now Dorian Yates is a prime example. Nothing with his legs happened, but always near the end of his prep he torn a tricep or a bicep or something else. So that's not what we want. So the leaner you are, the more injury prone you become. So now we've done the leg extension and the leg curl. The legs are warmed up nicely, and now it's time for the Hex Squat. It's just an old school basic movement that I like to do in a lot of my leg sessions. Normally I have 3 rotations. One of them starts out with the belt squat, the ATX belt squat. That's my favorite squat of all time. One of them is a Smith machine squat, and one of them is the Hex Squat. So those are all the squat variations in those leg rotations. But the Hex Squat is a very amazing one as well, and they have a few in this gym, but this one felt the best. So I can still go down quite far Not as far as the one we have at Fit Gym, but still feels quite nice, and it feels, you know, different as well, so it has a lot of getting used to the movement. But here I am doing warm-up sets, so I'm not wasting a lot of energy on the sets beforehand, but I am making sure I'm doing enough reps to really warm up those knees as I'm wearing knee sleeves, telling you guys that my knees are very important to me. And the reason why they are important, as should be for anyone, any joint should be very important, is the muscle and the tendon, they are attached to the joint. If the joint hurts, you can never put as much stress and tension on the muscle as you would want. And you want to put the maximum mechanical tension on there you possibly can to elicit growth. So if you feel something right now when you're in a weakened state, you will definitely feel it in the off season all of a sudden when you go way heavier. So always protect your joints by wearing knee sleeves or wraps or something like that. Now it's time for the first working set. It's going to be the same setup as the leg extension because I wasn't sure how much weight I'm able to do on this particular Hex Squat. Now this is 3 plates a side, and I think back at home in Fit Gym I do, let's see, 5.5 at least. I think, no actually 6 and a quarter or something back at the Fit Gym. So, you know, that just shows you how different Hex Squats can be, how different same movements can be when you compare them to each other. And at the same time, it's quite hot in this gym. It's not easy to see that from the footage, but you will see it in my clothing that I'm starting to sweat quite a lot. But the temperature in this gym makes it more difficult to get enough oxygen in your blood to be able to do reps back to back. So you're tired and fatigued quicker. So that's why I'm taking breathers in between to make sure I'm still finishing off the set until I hit true failure, which means I cannot perform another rep with perfect range of motion. So this is pretty intense Hex Squat compared to the one we have at Fit Gym. The one at Fit Gym actually goes all the way down without hitting the bottom, which actually to me makes it easier, not in terms of the muscle fatigue, but in terms of knowing that you can get full range of motion without any hiccups throughout the range of motion. But the angle of this Hex Squat is different as well, so it's a very different way from what you're used to. And you know, the oxygen demand in this building is much higher because it's very warm, you breathe heavily, so you need to take a lot more breathers in between the reps. So I'm gonna do one more working set with that one and then move on to the next exercise. And I'm also wearing a belt when doing these Hex Squats because I noticed that if I go all the way down, I feel it a bit in my lower back, and that's not what we want. I want to protect it and not risk it or put any stress on it if it's not necessary. And this belt actually belongs to John Arends, who is very familiar with this gym and was borrowing this belt because I didn't bring my own vintage genetics belt because my 2 suitcases were filled to the brim, as you guys know, with a lot of clothing that I like to wear because I sweat every single day and I will be gone for more than 20 days in total, 3 weeks in fact, and I need a new set of clothes every single day. And on top of that, we have a lot of fish with us, and one suitcase is pretty much dedicated to food. And then I was like, well, a belt isn't that important. A lot of gyms have a belt anyway, so very nice that I was able to borrow one. But this is working set number 2, 3 plates and a quarter. 3 plates and a half this time, and that makes it a bit heavier once again. But I will keep making sure I hit at least 8 or more reps. Anything below that, in my opinion, is way too much risk involved and won't bring me any positivity towards my leg development right now, so no need to do that. And this leg press, I was really impressed with the range of motion here. You can see that I'm going way past 90 degrees comfortably. Yes, my legs are a bit on the wide side, And that's because I didn't bring my weightlifting shoes either. They are quite big, they are quite heavy, so I didn't bring them in my suitcase. But I was like, well, they should have a leg press or something to be able to still use full range of motion. But the only thing I then have to change is the width of my stance. Normally my stance would be a bit closer together in order to hit the quads just a bit more on the outer sweep. But that doesn't really matter. As long as I can hit full range of motion, you will still hit that full stretch of the quads, which is what you want. Now this is working set number 1 on this leg press, which means I will be going to failure on this one. So what you really want to look for in the leg press is you go all the way down as far as you can, and you want to feel all of that tension, all of that stress in the legs. The moment that you feel it in the lower back, that's when you should back off, because that is dangerous. I actually injured my lower back once by going too deeply with way too much weight, hurt some nerve in my back, and I wasn't able to move properly for like 2 weeks. That isn't what you want, because that will only hinder progress in the long run. So if you feel any discomfort in the lower back, skip doing the way you're doing it and revise your range of motion or your form or even the machine that you're using. Now this is the second working set, but you can also call it an intensifying technique in the workout. I'm still using quite a lot of them. In the previous workout, in the chest workout, I used a lot of drop sets, for example, but this time we're using the good old cluster set. I haven't done a leg workout in a good while not using cluster sets. So for those who do not know what a cluster set is, basically you get your phone, you put the stopwatch on, and you put either 15 or 20 second breaks in between the rounds in this cluster set. So one round could be 4 reps, 5 reps, 6 reps. I'm choosing 5 reps here. And you then do that with your 10 to 12 rep max. That way you know that you're still challenging yourself, and then within 3 to 4 rounds you will hit failure. The big difference in just hitting this weight for your 10 or 12 rep max is that you would then hit less reps than this cluster set in total. So I will be hitting 4 rounds here, which means 20 reps with my 10 to 12 rep max. That means I'm hitting at least 8 reps more than I normally would have doing a straight set. So that is a definition of an intensifying technique. You're going beyond the failure point you normally would, putting a larger demand for calories and carbs on your body, which will aid in muscle growth, first of all, but also fat loss, which is the main goal of a bodybuilding prep. And it just feels very amazing. It's a very different stimulus, and it just feels very good in terms of being aware of your muscles, because at the 3rd and 4th round you can still use perfect form because you know you're only using 4 to 5 reps, and you will hit the end of the round quite quickly. But using that perfect form allows you to use mind-muscle connection and really get into those muscles. Now the next movement is to stretch out the hamstrings. It's not going to be a powerful movement at all. It really is more of a shaping movement, stretching out the hamstrings, getting those muscle fibers to stretch and make space and get blood flow in there as well, because we pumped up the legs, especially with the seated leg curl. You pump up those hamstrings, and then it feels very, very nice that at the end of the workout you can stretch out those same hamstrings. So for people who do a stiff leg deadlift or Romanian deadlift or anything like that, that stretches out the hamstrings without doing a leg curl before, I urge you to first do the leg curl, feel those muscles up with blood, and then do a stretching movement like this one, the stiff-legged deadlift. What you want to look out for in this one is not just go down with your upper body, but actually push your hips back, because then automatically you will feel the stretch in your hamstrings go to the max, and that's when you know you're doing the exercise correctly. And of course, we can't finish a leg workout without finishing it off with the calves. So we're doing a seated calf raise to begin with. and you can really see that the specific muscle that you're working extra on the calf raise is the soleus muscle that is beneath those big bulging calf muscles right there. You can also see it bulging out through the side, especially when you're getting more and more defined. You will see more and more definition and more muscles appearing depending on which exercise you do. So don't think that with the seated calf raise and the standing calf raise you're training the exact same calf muscles. You actually need to do both variations to create fully developed calves, and that's what I've been doing for many years. And also use the fullest range of motion you can. Ideally, I would have liked to stretch out a bit more here, but the problem is I couldn't because the machine wasn't built for it. So, but again, doesn't matter. Use what's available to you to the max you can. And for me, the legs in general, and especially the calves, those are the last to come into condition because those always hold the most water for me. It's in the morning, they are very cut up and dry, but the moment I start walking, the moment I start working them out, they start to hold a bit more water. So what I'm going to do the next couple of days, and I'll of course take you on that journey, is add a lot more water to my diet, drinking more bottles of water, and showing you the difference already that makes in a hot country. Alrighty, on our way back home now for the post-workout meal. Just had my shake, 50 grams for my isolate, which is always important right after the workout. It at the same time gets some hydration in and immediate recovery when you're deep in prep, especially after a heavy workout like this. And you know, we tried out some different equipment, and it feels quite different for sure, but the leg press I really liked because the full range of motion to me is very important, and the leg press really provided that. So that felt great on the stretch in the quads, and I really love that seated leg press, seated leg curl as well, because that gives the hamstrings a stimulus that I haven't felt in a while. We do have a laying leg curl at Fit Gym, but it's always nice to hit it from a different angle, the hamstring. So now we're going home for the post-workout meal. It's going to be about 80 grams of basmati rice and some fish with a minimal amount of vegetables, because I've been noticing in a hot country like this, digestion is not as good as in the Netherlands, because either it's the jet lag or just getting used to the environment and the temperature, but it just feels a bit different. So I don't want to have super humongous meals when you don't have to. So I'm eating 6 meals a day anyway, and you know, I have a lot of work to do on the laptop in terms of emails, coaching, workout nutrition plans, and the videos of course, which this is a part of. So plenty to do, so I'm not bored at all. And yeah, it's been pretty awesome so far. So when I'm home in the apartment, it's time to recover from this leg workout. Alright, we are back home and we're making the post-workout meal once again. Turmeric rice, golden rice, and the green stuff you see in between is some parsley. So I like to add healthy herbs and spices to my meals. Also a little bit of salt in here, and I'm gonna add some extra pink Himalayan salt to the end meal, because pink salt, the color, actually is a telltale sign of other minerals in there, and you don't only use sodium when you're sweating. You're also losing other minerals such as magnesium, copper, potassium, all that stuff, and that's in the Himalayan pink salt. If you just take table salt, you only get the sodium. What we also have, and by the way, this is it, the color just says to you there's more in there than just sodium, that's why it's pink. We also have some white fish, again 250 grams of codfish. That is very consistent throughout the entire prep, so not stopping now. And I'm also going to make some cucumbers, so let's check. Okay, this is the post-workout meal. You guys are used to this now, but now you can see the beauty of these codfishes. You can see how perfectly cooked they are. I did this at home, as I mentioned before, sous vide style. So you cook it slowly for 30 minutes at about 50 something degrees Celsius, and then it becomes perfection. And also the golden rice, 80 grams uncooked, probably about 250 grams cooked, and about 50 grams of cucumber and parsley and a lot of Himalayan salt. And yeah, let's just eat this, and also of course a kiwi right after. Let's enjoy. And then it's time for the third meal of the day, about 1.5 hours later. So the meal after the post-workout meal I always have a bit quicker, just because you can then use that to recover from the workout even more. It's usually called the post-workout meal. This doesn't contain any carbs except for just a bit of vegetables, but mostly the vegetables are herbs, some cucumber, some bell pepper, a little bit of onion, and we have some avocado as well. I just have an avocado and 2 cans of tuna. Again, adding some salt in here, and that's the meal. It looks a lot better than yesterday. It really depends on the vegetables you add. So I just bought this pre-made, pre-cut salad greens in the store. So very curious what it tastes like, but let's enjoy and keep working. Okay, about to get ready for a walk, but as you can hear, still making a meal to eat real quick and then walk. Actually helps digestion and helps me get in the next few meals. So let me show you what it is. So it's a nice stir fry, as you can see. There's some zucchini and some beanie that I was talking about in the other video. I added some oregano, added some black pepper, added some salt, and that's it. And I'll be covering this in a tiny bit of ketchup, just like the other meals. And we also have, once again, the beautiful codfish. This still feels a bit cold. So what I'm doing, defrost it again. If you want your fish not to get really hot and get ruined, just put a defrost on there. It'll just warm it up without ruining the actual fish. Okay, so this is the meal that I was talking about. It's finished. Some bimi, some zucchini, and some vegetables. Some fish. So no fats. And I'll be adding some of this. And this is the ketchup that I was talking about. If it's gonna work. Yeah, okay, there we go. It's actually 44 calories per 100 grams, so even less than I mentioned. So 5.4 grams per 100 grams. So I take about 15 grams of this. So that only gives me 5 to 6 calories, which is an amazing value for what you get. So yeah, let's enjoy this. Okay, it's cardio time once more. Nothing special, just walking along the airstrip here. So it's just a long walk, but that's what cardio is about, getting your steps in no matter what. After this, gonna have another meal, and then yeah, continue the work. Consistency is what bodybuilding is all about. And tomorrow morning, which will be the next video, I will show you the weight update once again. And remember, I am allowed to weigh 112 kilos or 247 pounds at my height of 6'2" or 189 centimeters. So I'm already very close to that limit. So right now it's not about doing things too quickly. I really want to nail my peak. So, you know, if I'm a little bit under the weight limit, that means I can load a bit more, but it really depends on what I look like, what my shape looks like. So see you at the next meal, guys. Alright, just got home from cardio, then took a shower, and now I'm having my 5th meal of the day. And I have to say that cardio felt quite a lot heavier because of training legs. But at the same time, you then literally feel the fat burning off, which is a positive thing. So let me show you the meal that I've created. And this is it right here. You guys are familiar with pretty much my meals by now, because as a bodybuilder, you stay pretty consistent anyway. Sometimes the vegetables change a little bit. You've seen them both, but not combined yet. It's asparagus and bimi combined, about 200 grams here. Just a nice plate of greens and a little bit of that low-calorie ketchup on there, which makes it taste a lot better as well. And we have 250 grams of salmon, which I already sous vide prepared at home to perfection, and just here baked it up until it's prepared nicely. So also added some pepper, some salt, and this will be the meal I'll be eating right now. Okay guys, you know, I'm gonna have one more meal after the one I just showed you. It's actually going to be just 2 whole eggs
and the rest will be egg whites, so it's just going to be a big bowl of that, which is not that special. I'm going to have it in about 15 minutes, so instead of showing you, I'm telling you and ending this video right now because it's going on for longer than half an hour. I really want to thank you for watching, and let me know if there's anything else that you want to see me do in the videos. And yeah, thanks for watching again, and don't forget to stay golden. See you tomorrow.